Ping, 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 ping. All praise to the Most High. Yeah, listen, y'all gonna want to get in here. This is gonna be a good discussion, Lord willing. I want to hear y'all feedback too. So y'all see the poll right there on the top. Let's see. Hold on, we gotta. What is more important, God or your race? Or we'll just put race.
Put or both. Put or both.
The Most High. Let's see. The Most High. Let's see. God, your race.
Smacking niggas.
Both are just as important.
I'm smacking niggas.
All responses must be at least 5 characters. What? Okay, here.
That's how you really
Oh,
want to bully niggas. You really want to bully niggas tonight. It's crazy. What's gotten into you, bro?
no, I don't want to bully nobody.
Yeah, come on, bro. We just had a phone conversation before this clubhouse.
All right, I want y'all to vote. Make the last race my race, Yoga. But see, this is the issue, and I want to let y'all definitely give y'all feedback. But what is the very first commandment that was given to us? Thou shalt have no gods before me. Now, of course, in its specific context, that means don't worship any other god besides the Most High. Yes, of course. But the principle is very clear. Nothing comes before God. Not your mom, not your dad, not your wife, not your children. Nothing comes before God. So your race shouldn't come before your God either. And you have to now call into question people who actually, and if you're one of these people, then just, this isn't an attack on you, but this is something for you to examine yourself on. If you believe that your race is even as important as God, God forbid you believe it's even more important than God, then you don't worship God. You worship your race. You put something before God. Somebody said, I'm not sure this is even a real question. Now, it sounds so ridiculous, but it is unfortunately a real question for a lot of people. A lot of people really have to sit there, start, you know what I mean? Like, what is it, like caressing their chin hair, their beard? I don't know, man. Start, you know what I mean? Tapping on their forehead. I got to really think about this. Let's see the results. Okay, so far we got 100% of people saying the Most High. All right, beautiful. But for those, go ahead, preach. You have something to say?
Go ahead.
For those who would say both are just as important, again, where do you find any biblical justification for that? Where's the biblical justification for saying that anything is on the level of the Most High? Didn't God say there's nothing? What is it in Isaiah? There's no God beside me. If there's not an effing God on His level, what makes you think there's a human being or a race of human beings that are on His level? Nigga, Jesus Christ is not on His level, but you're gonna say your race is? Somebody, okay, Quantazop said, may I sincerely ask what prompted this question? There's not one thing in specific. Like, there's not something I saw on Instagram today and said, wow, let me pose this question. But it's something that I've seen, a lot of within, the Hebrew Israelite community in specific. And it's not just the Hebrew Israelite community, because I don't want to make it look like we're just the worst people ever. Obviously not. But even with white nationalists, with Christian nationalists, these are European, Caucasian Christians who, well, they say they believe in God, but they will say they are race first, God second. And that ideology, regardless of if it's our people doing it, white people doing it, whatever people doing it, is a problem if you're going to purport that you believe in the God of the Bible. There is not a single verse, and I would challenge anybody to provide a single verse that would even show that they're on the same level or even close. Uh, Jude, what's going on, brother?
You niggas is off, my nigga.
Okay, let's go. Let's hear it.
Nigga, the Bible tells you niggas what time it is, bro.
Oh, is that Deacon on another?
Oh my god. My other phone's about to die, so I gotta plug it
I
up.
got you. I got you.
I'm gonna mute real quick.
All right. So let me get a couple verses real quick. And I want to say this too. People might get this misconstrued and act or not act, but question whether or not I'm saying race is important. Race is definitely important. You because watch this. Is your family important? There's laws that say honor your mother and your father. There's laws that say husbands love your wives and wives love your husbands, love your children. What does that illustrate? That your family is important. And what is your race? Your race is just your extended family. What is the definition of race? It comes from the Latin word raza, which means people descending from a common ancestor. That's what your family is. Your family are the people that descend from your great grandfather. You know, you go to a family reunion, all the grandchildren are gathered around their great grandfather or grandfather because you're all the same stock. So no one would say that your family is not important, but is family as important as God? No. But is it one of the most important things? Absolutely. And so I would contend, and I think the Bible would agree, that race is one of the most important things. But it's certainly not the only important thing, and it is God is absolutely not more important or even as important as God. And I think this shouldn't be anything controversial. For anybody that would look at and listen to what I just said and think that that's a controversial statement, or even take even slight issue with it, you have to really examine yourself and ask, do you really believe in the God of the Bible? Because what it now sounds like, I'm going to get a scripture momentarily, is you worship God because of what you are as opposed to who he is.
Mm.
Well, I'm an Israelite, so I'm going to worship God. But what if you found out you weren't an Israelite? Is it just F God now? Well, I don't want to worship him anymore. So did you really believe in him in the first place? Clearly not. Because at the moment, at the drop of a bucket, if you find out you're not an Israelite, now you're going to just go worship some other God. Someone said race or lineage, either one.
Okay,
So
let's get brother, what's your name? Real Yahweh or Yahweh?
Yeah, real Yehuda Shalom Akim. I'll just get it's a real quick question, so I'm gonna let Hassad get his verse first, and then it's just a real quick question I had to ask.
All right.
okay, I think it's in John. Here we go. This is Matthew 3:9, rather. It says, "And think not to say within yourselves, we have Abraham to our father." Just putting sole stock in your race. For I say unto you that God is able of these stones to raise up children unto Abraham. Now I want to let you ask your question, brother, but again, I want to reiterate this because this can easily be misconstrued. I'm not saying race is not important. Nowhere in the Bible does it say race is not important. As a matter of fact, it's so important that Peter puts the people who he's writing to in remembrance that they are a chosen race in 1 Peter chapter 2, verse 9. So knowing your race and having value in your stock, in your race is important, but it's nowhere near as important as believing in God. So don't just base your life solely off of, oh, I'm of this particular race. That's an unbiblical concept, and it's one that Christ repudiates here in Matthew 3:9. But go ahead, brother.
All right, Shalom, and this is a very quick off-topic question. It's more so for y'all's perspective. So I'm sure we're familiar with Exodus 20 and 4 and how some brothers and sisters may make AI images of Christ. And I try to counteract that with Exodus 20 and 4 because it says graven and likeness, which that word for likeness is thamuna, which is form, image, likeness, representation, semblance, which is the outline of the usage. So would you agree or disagree with that being kind of in the field of like, let's not do that?
No, I wouldn't, because the very next verse gives you clarification as to what it is. It says, verse 5, "You shall not bow down yourself to them, nor serve them." It's not saying that you can't write pictures of depictions of angels or the Messiah, etc. It's saying you can't create an idol. So then, how do you make this thing an idol? You then worship it. How we know that's the case is the same book of Exodus gives us commandments on building the cherubims that are next to the Ark of the Covenant. The cherubims are lions, basically with eagle's wings. So does that mean that we created idols in the cherubims? No, because we're not worshiping those things. So I would say no.
I just don't know what a cherubim is. I
A
have
cherub, yeah.
no. Hold on, brother. I have no clue what a cherubim is. It's 2,000 years ago. And the things that we are harping on were 2,000 years ago, as if God ceased to exist 2,000 years ago, as if he hasn't shown evidence, has created testimony in himself or others within the last 2,000 years. I just think
Well, that wasn't me. I wanted to hear. I don't know. Maybe the sister came a little late. I'm not sure what she was responding to, but
Whatever she was responding to, it wasn't her turn. So go ahead. Go ahead. Finish answering him.
no, there's nothing wrong with like having an action figure or you draw a picture of what you believe the angels look like according to the Bible. There's nowhere in the Bible that forbids that. What is forbidden is you worshiping idols. If you were to make an action figure and then you worship that action figure as if it is God, that's what Exodus 20 is telling you. And we see this commandment basically reiterated in, I believe it's Leviticus 19. Um, is it Leviticus 19 or Leviticus 16? To bow down to them, and you shall make no idols. Hold on one second.
I think that's Leviticus 19 and 4.
26. No,
Let's
here we
see.
go. Leviticus 26 and 1. It says, "You shall make you no idols nor graven image." Right? No, it doesn't stop there. It keeps going. Neither rear you up a standing image, neither shall you set up an image of stone in your land to what? To bow down to it.
To bow down. Okay.
Right. So it's what does it mean to bow down? To serve it, to worship it. It's not saying
Yeah,
you can't make an image. It's saying
betrayal, pretty much.
right to yeah, exactly. Worship it like it's God.
All right. Well, I mean, now me personally, I'm still not gonna be doing no AI images of Christ, but you kind of cleared the air on that. I appreciate that.
I got you, brother. And if you feel like, you know what, I don't want to do that because there's a scripture that I live by in Sirach. It's in like Sirach 16, it's either 14, 15, or 16. Actually, it's like 17 and 27. It says, he that is wise will fear the Lord in everything. So there's some things that I don't do just out of fear for the Most High. Maybe it's me being a little over righteous, but because of my walk, I just abstain from doing certain things. And there's nothing wrong with that. If you feel like, hey, I don't want to do that, I can't condemn a brother or sister for doing that. But me personally, that's just something I don't want to do. There's no issue with that. Um, let's see. Hakodesh management, what's going on?
Peace, Assad, peace, priest.
Hey, come on, brother.
Long brother. I was actually 'cause with the topic you brought up within, how do I say this? I, Race is prioritized or nationality is prioritized, right? When you come in from a one West perspective, simply because of the fact that if you're not an Israelite, you can't be saved, right? So then it's like
Right.
why would you even care to serve that God if you have no hope?
Exactly.
And I think that's where the issue comes in, especially if we're having a conversation with brothers that are in other one West persuasion, right? Like how do you balance that, right? What is more important? Your race almost has to be more important first.
Exactly. And I'm glad you said that. That's exactly where the crux of the issue begins. Because notice, and I don't want to say this like I am not guilty of this. Now, would I have consciously ever have said that my race is more important than God? No. But look at, I'll just use myself as an example, and I'll go against former Hassad, I guess, so to speak. When I would teach, oftentimes somebody will walk by that I perceive is an Israelite. What do I mean perceive as an Israelite? Some nigga who I think is, oh, he looks black. All right, cool. Well, he looks Mexican. All right, you look Mexican. Hey, imagine he walks by camp. Hey, what's up, bro? What's your nationality? That's the first question you ask. What's your nationality? Not, hey, do you believe in God? What is your race? This decision that you had no choice in making. What is this thing that you were just born as? What is it? What if he says, I don't know. My dad was adopted. All right, my nigga, you look black enough. So let's come break bread. Where's that at in the Bible? Where did the apostles do that? Where did Jeremiah do that? Where did Isaiah do that? Where did Christ do that? The focus was not on them. The focus was not on their race. Their focus was on their God. And it's not God centered. I'm not saying the entire Hebrew Israelite movement, obviously, because I'm a Hebrew Israelite. We are the Israelites. We need to keep God's commandments 100%. So I'm not denying that. And I'm not trying to take any, importance away from our race. It is important to know who you are. It is important to know where you come from. But that shouldn't be the focal point in the center of your attention. My race, my race, my race. No, it should be your God, the truth. Doesn't the Bible say that God is truth? It doesn't say your race is truth. So
Yeah,
just
and
to kind of harp
it
on what
goes
you
back.
said. Right.
No, it goes back prior to one West. It goes all the way back to the Pharisees. Hey, Mike,
Yeah,
did we tell you to unmute yet?
not yet. You can always
Okay,
always the
so
first time.
Just
okay,
mute
so
real quick,
mute.
bro. Yeah, appreciate you. We're gonna go to you in a second. Go ahead though, priest.
No, it goes back to the first century with the different sects of the Jews that, especially the Pharisees, talking about we're children of Abraham. We got it made in the shade. No, there's something you have to do outside of you know your race, your uh ethnic stock. You understand? So, but if we're modern, we're bringing it up to modern terms, then yes, it is a lot of the one West persuasion.
Right. And now, because then what, like the brother said, what you would have to basically say is, even if you're saying that you cannot get salvation if you are not this specific race, what you are essentially, without verbatim saying it, what you would logically, just following your line of reasoning, be saying is that one's race is more important than God. Because there are people there, the majority of human beings on the planet Earth have no access to God outside of Israelites. And they don't have no choice in that just because of what race they're born as. There is nowhere, not a single place in the Bible that would ever justify that line of reasoning, ever. It just does not exist. You would also have to say something like this, that uh, P. Diddy, yeah, you know what I was going to say, that P. Diddy him in his race is more important than his
Or
obedience to keeping God's commandments,
yeah, or equal or equivocal.
or equal. How effing crazy is that? Doesn't that sound ridiculous, you guys? Now, let's just be serious here. Let's say there's a Gentile. I don't. Let's say he's Korean or whatever the hell he is. Let's say he's a Korean guy. He's just Korean, whatever. He believes in the Most High. He keeps his commandments. He builds. Remember, them African niggas who be in the DM asking people to build orphanages. Let's say this guy builds 100 orphanages. He builds a brand new HBCU. He's just helps all types of Black and Hispanic people. He solves world hunger. Let's say that he solves world hunger, and he's just the greatest guy ever. He has no right to any access to God because of what race he is. But P. Diddy and R. Kelly and the worst nigga that you know who sold drugs to his best friend's mother and to pregnant women, he can live a whole life of evil, and you would have to say that that guy is better simply because of a decision that he had no part in, which is what race he was born as. How stupid is that, man? That's just dumb, everybody. It just is.
I agree with you, brother Hassan. I got a question. Would you then say that they're using their race as an idol? Because even though it's not an actual carved image,
Right.
it's technically still a sense of worship, right?
Well, because you're putting it above God or even on the same level. Anything that you put on the same level or even close to God, God forbid above it, yeah, you're making it an idol. Now you worship your race more than your God.
And here's the thing too, in the Old Testament, I mean, we know that the covenant was given to Israel, but there were strangers and sojourners that were able to take part in that covenant as well. Um, and I don't think that a lot of people acknowledge that part as well too.
No, they make those people Israelites.
Yeah,
Oh, those are Israelites, brother. And I
yeah,
don't want to be mean to, because I can't be mean because I would sound like a hypocrite. I didn't say, for example, that the strangers in Deuteronomy 29 were Israelites, but I've said oftentimes that the Gentiles in the New Testament and other places, those are Israelites, and they're just simply not. And what it is if you were to read the Bible for yourself, it's kind of ironic, priest, because it's like we critique Christians for, you would never say that you don't have to keep the law if you just read the Bible for yourself, right? Maybe you go to Paul's letters and try to misstep and be confused,
No,
sure, but
you said something
maybe
about
maybe I could think of
Chinese.
something better.
Somebody said something about Chinese entering to the congregation. Who said that?
I'm not sure, but real quick, let me just land here. There is no way, if anybody was to read the Bible for themselves, that you would ever come to the conclusion that the Gentiles in the New Testament are Israelites. You would never come to that conclusion. The only reason you came to that conclusion is because men like 80 years ago that you've never met from Harlem, they came to that conclusion based on their own presuppositions that they had about other nations of people, and that they then force fitted into the text and fed to your teachers, who then fed it to you. That's why you have to. Oh, I gotta, I gotta remember the breakdown. It's okay to remember, certain explanations that you have with Scripture, but it oftentimes is not okay. Let's just read the Bible for what it says. Let's just read it and break it down. It's okay. What is a script?
Um,
and also too,
Faraz
and
said, real quick, Faraz said he brought an example of a Chinese guy having access to God. Did Ruth have access to God? Did Achior the Ammonite have access to God? That's an Ammonite and a Moabite.
Man,
They
That's
both
how
had access
easy
to
it is.
God.
That's how easy it is to kill a one West nigga. We're not saying that they could congregate amongst the temple, but clearly Ruth and Achor had access to the Most High.
Not only
But
that, I can show you a Canaanite can have access to God. Not only can a Canaanite have access, I don't want to drop this bomb yet. Maybe I will momentarily. Not only can a Canaanite have access to God, I can show an example where God kills Israelites for Israelites trying to prevent Canaanites from having access to him.
no, watch this, watch this, watch this. Karaz, do you have access to God?
Right, we don't have a temple right now. So yeah, exactly. Yep, I see
That's how you
exactly where we're
kill a
going.
one West nigga.
Yep.
That's how you kill a one West nigga. That easy.
also too in Deuteronomy 27, I think is no 27, Deuteronomy 23 verse 7. It says, do not abhor an Edomite, for he's thy brother. Thou shalt not abhor an Egyptian, because thou was a stranger in the land. So it's literally written in the law, about even not even. It doesn't necessarily say love, but that abhor means hate, right? So it says, do not hate thy brother. And how do you treat your brother? You treat your brother with love. So um, that in a sense too is God is basically in the law telling us to welcome other nations.
Well, the context there is allowing those people to come and present an offer to God. That's what the context of Deuteronomy 23 is about. Is about congregating amongst the temple and who's allowed to and who's not allowed to. It's not about any emotion of hatred towards these people. How we know that is 2 chapters later, God tells the Israelites to blot out Amalek in Deuteronomy 25 and 19. So that's the context of abhor right there. But to your point, the fact that that law is given is an illustration that guess what, other nations of people outside of Israel can have access to him. They can come worship before him, and that's the point. And brother Karaz, how are we dodging, King? How are we dodging the point? That we're directly trying to answer the point that you're making, which is a response to what I said earlier about a Korean guy and his worship of God, yet he wouldn't be able to have any access to God simply because of the race he's in. And you
Right
brought
now,
up the
he's
point,
saying,
yeah,
yeah, he's saying that. Oh, go ahead, go ahead, go ahead.
you're saying that because they're not allowed to congregate amongst the temple, that they don't have access to God. Deuteronomy 23 and 1 says if a nigga gets his rod cut off, he can't come to the temple either. So does he not get to have access to God? I'm sorry if I'm being a
Ain't
little
he?
graphic, but
Ain't he like like from the Jacob's Lanners or Refiners or
well, hold
something?
on. We don't. This is just listen. We
No,
know
I'm just
Karaz
asking.
personally.
Is that the brother?
Yeah,
No
he's a good
hate, but
brother. Yeah, he's a good brother.
it ain't no smoke. It ain't no beef. I just want to know who we're talking to.
Yeah, but King, I want you to, if you're listening still, that's the line of reasoning that you would have to follow. That because you're not allowed to come to the congregation, that you don't have access to God. But it also says that again, an Israelite who has his privy member cut off, he's also not allowed to, according to your logic, have access to God. I think that's not something that we would say. That doesn't make much sense.
Yeah, prayer is access to God. This is why in 1 Kings 8:41 to 43,
Yeah.
Solomon literally prayed to the Most High that the stranger who prays toward his temple, that he would hear his prayer. That's access.
How is that not access? I would like to hear. Is that not access? If God is, if you're praying to God and He answers your prayer, is that not access?
exact scripture on stage like 3 months ago. I brought that scripture up to you. Like you actually was cool about it. You actually didn't go, but yeah, that's that prayer, the Solomon's prayer. I asked you about that like 3 months ago, and you kind of you didn't beat me up on it, but you kind of. I'm glad that you leverage that now. My question, quick question: what do you guys see Zechariah 8:23 differently now? Kind of the way that would be looked at. Uh,
the
Yeah,
10 men of the nations grabbing the skirt of him that's a
yeah,
Jew.
yeah, yeah. Do you guys see that any differently now?
What do you mean? Like, I mean, the stance that we've always had is that those are Gentiles. We never said that those are Israelites.
No, I agree, but I mean, for the purpose of them grabbing hold like of the skirt and the way that it reads, what's the end part of it? It says, let us go with you, for we have heard that God is with you." Like
Right.
that would be them wanting to uh, have some part of whatever it is that essentially maybe the crumbs, right? Like they want to have the crumbs, but have you guys always seen it that way?
Yes, but even just to add to the point that you're making, that illustrates even that there's going to be Gentiles who, yes, are in bondage, but those who are not. They're saying,
Yes.
let us come with you." Not, they're not being forced to do this. This is something that they, of their own volition, are wanting to do. Let us go with you. We've heard that God's with you. We want to go, like Isaiah 2 says, let us go to learn of the God of Jacob, for he will teach us of his ways. This is Gentiles coming to learn from God, emphatically. Kara said, what does the Lord heareth not sinners mean then? If prayer is access to God, yeah, exactly. Though that's the point. If that's anybody, that's a Gentile or an Israelite. If they pray to God and they're a sinner, He doesn't hear their prayer. But the fact that Solomon is praying to God and asking the Most High to hear the prayer of a non-Israelite would indicate that that non-Israelite is not a sinner.
No,
If they're
the fact that he said that prayer is not access to God lets you know that well, I want to be the fuck
no,
away from that
let's let's
group.
let's. But no, brothers, we got to seriously think about this. Is not prayer access to God? You said I'm putting words in my mouth.
Well, no,
Well, I don't want
we
to put.
asked the question. No, look at you said no. He said no, and then shout out to Landers though.
No, he's saying
So,
no. I'm not in Jacob's lanterns.
oh, okay. Listen, brother, listen. If you were saying no, then I should be in the spirit of wanting to get far away from somebody that would say no, praying is not having access to God. But if you didn't say that, Salakia. Let's get this other brother on stage.
Brother King of the Beast, what's going on?
Yo,
Hey,
yo,
Shalom,
I'm
what's
about to,
going on?
I'm about
Shalom,
to drop
King.
off real quick. I just wanted to say, yo, brother Assad, bro, just keep doing your thing, man. You right there, bro. You almost a Christian.
Ah, no, damn, they're gonna clip that one. Oh
Yo,
man.
but I added you, bro.
Bro,
So
why he sound like top five?
you said what?
You sound like top five.
I don't know who that is, but you sound like a cool brother.
Oh, it's that Toronto man, LA?
Yeah, that's
Nah, I'm from
Toronto.
Trinidad. I'm from Trinidad, but I live in New York.
Oh
But
man.
brother Hassad, I added you. I think we should probably connect in the back chat. Sound like you. I got some questions for you, bro, that you could
Okay.
probably help me with.
Okay. Well, listen, bro. I'm never ever, just like I'm never gonna ever say that my race is more important than God. I'm never gonna say that I'm not keeping the commandments. I'm never gonna have none of that. So, I understand what you're saying, but nah.
I I
Um.
agree with you too as well.
Okay. Well, you're close. You're close to being in the truth then. But now we can wrap for sure, brother. Um,
King
brother
of the
King of the
Beast.
Beast, what's going on?
Hey, shalom, shalom. Yeah, I just have one question still. So, like, and I agree with a lot of what you're saying, like, with especially with the fact, I don't know if if you don't recognize me, brother, I'm the same brother you helped out when my car was on my ship. Um, but what was I gonna say? Yeah, I agree with a lot of what we were saying, but uh. How would that like access with these other nations? Would that be under Israel's like authority or like their how do I put this so you understand what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Like,
Are you asking, can they have access to God without Israel?
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, that's a good way to put it.
Well,
Yeah,
no, they can't. Even in Romans 11, it tells you that in order for them to partake of any of the blessings, that they have to be grafted into the tree. Well, what is they? They're grafted into Israel, so they don't become Israelites, but they are, joining the people of Israel in worship to God. Now,
yeah,
obviously, if they're not able to, if there's no Israel for them to join to, then no, they wouldn't have that access to God, which shows a stratification in terms of hierarchy. But nonetheless, the point remains, they still
mhm,
have an ability to have access to God. And keep Passover.
shall be as
Yep.
one born in the land. So it had to be like under, you know, those terms and circumstances.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm glad you brought that up because I was talking to a brother about this today. When you look at the Torah and the laws that were given to the people of Israel, specifically, through the Most High through Moses, um, it's these are legal laws for our government. And some of the laws, I'm going to tell you why I bring this up. If I go to Japan, I shouldn't expect to see an Iraqi, emperor of Japan. If I go to Afghanistan, I shouldn't see a Japanese king of Afghanistan. The point is, every land should have their people as the rulers of their people, which is why I think it's Jeremiah 30 that says, and their nobles, this is in the kingdom, it says, their nobles shall be of themselves. Meaning we are going to be we're not going to be ruled over, we're going to rule over our own kingdom. And in the Torah, it tells us that the king has to be of our race. It's a law. The king has to be of our race. The high priest, well, he has to be not only of our race, but from a particular clan amongst our race. The other priests also have to be not only of our race, but from a particular clan. The judges have to be of a particular race, etc., etc. But that doesn't mean that an average citizen in Israel has to be of a particular race. So what does that show you? It shows you two things. That one, there's still in any country that you go to, there's still going to be a preferential treatment for the native people of that land. But that doesn't mean that you're in active hostility and just going to be a piece of garbage to anyone who travels to that land and wants to sojourn there or worship the God of that land. And that's how it is for the people of Israel. You mentioned Exodus 12 and 48. It says when a stranger, I think the word is ger, when a ger shall sojourn with you, then let all his males be circumcised, and then he can keep the Passover. How is that not
Uh,
access to God? They can keep Passover. Now the question is, I'm gonna wrap it up right here. If Gentiles kept Passover, the first Passover, which they did, and they continue to keep Passover with us, and which I can illustrate, well, who is the man that is likened unto the spiritual Passover, the Messiah? If they've always been able to partake of the physical Passover, why wouldn't they be able to partake of the spiritual one? And is there any biblical justification, any lexicon they can go to? Is there any? Just show me any evidence that they cannot. I would just challenge anyone to show me that.
no, I hear that for sure. Um, okay, so access, yeah, it don't mean like authority or like just doing on their own free will, but under, yeah, they would have to be like under Israel and under their grounds. But another thing too, because I wasn't sure maybe if you were talking about the same verse when you're talking about God killed Israelites for what you say now? He said God killed Israelites for believing on,
For Canaanite,
yeah.
He
God
killed
killed
Israelites
Israelites.
for he caused a famine in the land first.
Oh,
Then he ended up killing Israelites because we were killing Canaanites.
yeah, right. So were you talking about the Book of Judges? Like, is that what you're going into when Israel
No,
served Balaam
no,
after they took up the marriages with them?
no. I'm
No,
referring
let's
to
just read it.
Second Samuel. I don't. I'll
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah, Second
Or you want
Samuel.
to hold
I'll
it?
I'll get you the chapter here momentarily. It's a bomb. So you're gonna have to listen. You're gonna have to buckle up
No, no, I'm
because this
listening,
is
man. I'm here. You know.
it's something. It's some crazy stuff that people ain't read before. I want to answer a quick question somebody put in the chat. Koraz asked, "What laws do you teach the heathen they have to keep to get salvation?" The same ones that the apostles told them that they have to keep in Acts chapter 15. First, in verse 20, it says to abstain from fornication, from the pollution of idols, from blood, etc. Then it says in verse 21, I believe, for Moses of old time have those which read him being read in the synagogue every Sabbath day. So those are, I think, five initial laws that they first are given to keep, and then they can get the rest in the Torah.
Mm.
Sorry, they
Let
can get
me,
the rest in the synagogue.
yeah, let me read this too. This is just because that was prophecy. This is Isaiah 56 and verse 3. Neither let the son of the stranger bend the car. Every Israelite scholar, every Edomite scholar, every East Indian scholar, any Hebraic linguistic or linguistics would say that this is always in reference to non-Israelites. They have to do what? Take hold of the covenant, and that's the law, statutes, and commandments.
And what's further attestation of that is in Deuteronomy chapter 31. Look what this says. Deuteronomy chapter 31, and I'll start at verse 11. When all Israel is come to appear before the Lord your God in the place which he shall choose. This is Moses speaking. It says, thou shalt read this law before all Israel in their hearing. What law? The Torah. Read the Torah to all the Israelites. Verse 12. Gather the people together, men, women, and children. That's every single Israelite. You can only be a man, a woman, or a child. Men, women, and children, and thy stranger that is in thy gates. Okay, why are you gathering? Why is Moses telling the people of Israel? Why is he commanding Joshua when we come into the land of Israel to gather everybody and read this law? It's going to tell you that they may hear, the man, woman, child, and stranger, that they may hear what? The Torah, and that they may learn what? The Torah, and fear the Lord your God, and do what? Observe all the words of this law. And observe all the words of the law. It is literally a commandment in the Bible that when we came into the lands and when we are in the lands, that we got to read the Torah and make sure everybody keeps it. It's what it says.
You ready for this? 2 Samuel 21.
I mean, this is an absolute nuclear bomb. If you listen, I'm gonna just give you guys a preface. If you guys don't like the truth, and if the truth hurts, just leave right now. I don't want to. It's Shabbat. It's the Shabbat right now. So if you don't want to be in truth, you can say, okay, now's your time to cover your ears and say la 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 la.
No, it's not. It's the Sabbath right now. But somebody, after reading this,
It's gonna
somebody might
burn.
literally kindle a fire and
Right.
burn their Bible.
I think you should get it in the in another version.
You can do. You want to read
Or
it?
I'll get it. I'll get it. Second Samuel
I got
21.
it in the NLT.
Yep, I got it too. So I'll read it. Second Samuel 21 and 1. Everybody, let's do a little reading. There was a famine during David's reign that lasted for 3 years. So David asked the Lord about it. There's a famine in Israel. So David's like, God, why is there a famine in our lands? And the Lord said, the famine has come because Saul and his family are guilty. What are they guilty of? Of murdering the Gibeonites. Oh, brother, these are just Israelites that live in Gibeon. Okay, that's impossible, but let's just keep reading. So the king summons the Gibeonites. You are not, it says, they were not part of Israel, but were all that was left of the nation of the Amorites. The Amorites are one of the 7 nations listed in Deuteronomy chapter 7. These are Canaanites. It's literally telling you that the Gibeonites are, and you can read about the story of the Gibeonites in Joshua, I believe, chapter 8 or 9. It says the Gibeonites were not of the children of Israel, but were of the remnant of the Amorites. The people of Israel had sworn not to kill them, but Saul, in his zeal for Israel and Judah, had tried to wipe them out. So Saul tried to kill all these people. He was murdering them. Notice the Bible says it was murder, it was unjustifiable homicide. So let's see what the Bible says. Verse 3. David asked them, put a pin in this. You know, I was going to say, Deacon. But David is a man after God's own heart. The Bible says David is perfect. So what does David say? Does David say, yeah, kill these people? Who cares about them? David asked them, the Gibeonites, Gentiles, Canaanites, what can I do for you? How can I make amends so that you, Canaanites, will bless the Lord's people again? This isn't even the dagger, but this isn't the nuke, but this is like the tank. This is like the mortar strike. David is going up to these Canaanites and saying, hey man, I'm sorry this horrible thing happened to you guys. Mind you, God put a famine in our land for 3 years because of this. And he goes up to these Canaanites and says, man, how do we make this right so that you can bless God's people again? But they have no access to God? Okay. Verse 4. Well, money can't settle this matter between us and the family of Saul, the Gibeonites replied. Well, we can't. Listen, y'all was murdering some of us. We can't just take a bag for this. Something got to happen. Neither can we demand the life of anyone in Israel. So the Gibeonites said, we can't just accept money as restitution, and we're not going to ask for just some random innocent person in Israel to die in exchange. So here's what they offer. I want everybody to listen to this very carefully, and I'll slow down because I might be reading and explaining a little too fast. Let's keep going. Verse 4. What can I do then? David asked. Just tell me, and I will do it for you. Listen to the care that King David has. These are Gentiles. These are Canaanites, one of our worst enemies. King David says, man, what can I do to make this right? Look at verse 5. I'm going to read this part really slowly. Then they replied, the Canaanites, it was Saul who planned to destroy us, to keep us from having any place at all in the territory of Israel. Wait a minute, these people get to have a part in the territory of Israel? That's not even the dagger. That's just the hand grenade. Let's keep going. So let 7 of Saul's sons be handed over to us, and we will execute them before the Lord at Gibeon on the mountain of the Lord. These Canaanites said, look, you guys, Saul's family has been murdering us. So how do we want to make this right? David, go get Saul, who was the former king of Israel, who's an Israelite. Go get his family, bring them to us, and let us kill them in front of God. What does David say? Does David say, no, there's no way. There's no way I can do that. You guys are just filthy, disgusting Canaanites. Let's see what King David says, a man after God's own heart, who the Bible calls perfect. All right, the king said, I will do it. That's what King David said. He said, all right, I'll do it. Verse 7. The king, that would be David, spared Jonathan's son, Mehishabeth, who was Saul's grandson, because of the oath David and Jonathan had sworn before the Lord. But he gave them Saul's 2 sons, Armani and Mehishabeth, whose mother was Rizbah, daughter of Aiah. He also gave them the 5 sons of Saul's daughter, Merab, the wife of Adriel, son of Barzillai from Maholah. The men of Gibeon executed them on the mountain before the Lord, in front of God. So all 7 of them died together at the beginning of the barley harvest. I don't want to cuss on your platform, but can I just say one thing? I don't want to. I'm sorry, you might have to edit this out.
No,
But
I don't edit my clubhouse.
okay, so I don't want to say 4 and 5 letter words. But what the do you niggas have to say about that? Can someone please exegete that and tell me I'm tripping? You know what's crazy is at the beginning of when I was, I was struggling with this information because I've been teaching, to hell with these Gentiles. I hate them, whatever, right? For years. And I come across scriptures like this and it's like, okay, well, can someone please prove me wrong? Like, I'll say this too, and you guys can take this with a grain of salt, whatever. When some of these peer reviews are coming out, there was a part of me that was like, man, I really hope someone debunks this. Like, sincerely, I was genuinely hoping that I was just tripping. And I was like, and this is no disrespect. This is just me being transparent. I'm being honest. And all the peer reviews, and again, this isn't no disrespect, but it's just truth. Every single post I saw, every peer review I saw, every, you know, antithesis that people tried to push, all it did was confirm that this is exactly what the truth is. That's all it did. There is no, you know, exegesis of this other than the true exegesis of that scripture. There is nothing. There's nothing you can do other than to rip it out of the Bible or pretend it doesn't exist.
So, can I say something real quick? Because what do you? I mean, for like first, what's that? 1 Samuel 21:7, where Doeg the Edomites introduced as
Yeah.
Saul's head shepherdman or whatever you call it. He's the chief of the herdsmen, right? Like, why would he even be a part of Saul's like team,
Oh,
even as a
Saul was
servant?
wicked, bro. Saul was wicked,
Right,
Ock.
right. Okay, that makes I get you. But you got to. But people try. How do you dismiss that?
By doing what? Here's how you dismiss it: emotionalism. You don't go to the Bible. You just say, "Well, Saul was wicked, Ock." But the point is, why is nobody rebuking Saul? Why isn't God rebuking him for this? Why isn't Saul? Why isn't God saying, "Saul, what the hell are you doing? You got this damn devil in my army. What's wrong with you?" No. Saul, he doesn't get mad at Saul until Saul sacrifices.
Animals.
I think he sacrificed an animal himself before Samuel got there. That's when the Most High gets angry at Saul, and when he doesn't finish what the Lord told him to do concerning Amalek in 1 Samuel 15. He doesn't get mad about this Gentile in his army. You know why? God doesn't get mad about Saul or this Gentile in our army because he was not the only Gentile in our army. And if you guys actually read the Bible, you
Exactly.
know this. Uriah the Hittite, he was in our army. Some of David's mighty men, they were in our army. I can show you King David had 600 Gentiles that were his personal bodyguards. When King David was running from Absalom, when he was starting a civil war, who escorted King David to safety. And King David said to them, "May God show his love upon you." So you guys would say, "F you, devil, come kiss my boot. I hate you. May you, just go dome yourself or play in traffic." David, who knows the Bible way more than all of us, he told some of these people, "May God show his love and mercy upon you." You want to know what the word is for mercy right there? Who can guess? Hasad. May God show you Hasad. And that's what I'm telling some of you niggas. May God show. No, I'm playing. But that's literally, we can read that momentarily. But again, I want somebody to, somebody says, this is the same Gibeon from Joshua 9. Yes, it is. Korah said, Hasad, are we waiting on a number of heathens to keep the law in order for us to get delivered? Well, what does Paul say in Romans 11 and 25? That blindness in part has happened to Israel until the fullness of the Gentiles come in. Brother, I understand you're asking questions, and I want to answer them. So to answer your question, yes, unless if you're gonna disagree with what I said, you're gonna have to disagree with what Paul said. And I don't have, again, any issue with you asking me questions. But I think the more important thing that you should do, brother, is answer on your own time some of the questions that we are presenting. Because you asking these questions does not answer. You asking questions that are not related to the questions that we're posing to you does not answer the said questions that have been proposed to you. Why didn't Deuteronomy 30 say that? This is a really fallacious line of reasoning. I'm going to show you how. You're saying that a chapter in the Bible is supposed to detail every single thing as it relates to salvation. Excuse me. Does Deuteronomy chapter 30 detail the Davidic Messiah? No. So does that mean that what? Christ is not the Messiah? Like someone for people, I'm not trying to be hostile towards you, brother, but this is the line of reasoning that brothers are showing. Again, this is not
Particularly
me being
for
hostile.
N-word. Let's
But
just
I just
be
want to say
real.
this too. Brothers will say, well, show me this, show me that, show me this, show me that in the Torah, or show me this in the Old Testament. Show me Christ having 12 disciples in the Old Testament. Show me one verse that even alludes to him having 12 disciples. There's not a single one. So does that mean what? Christ did not have 12 disciples? No. That's the
Let's
same
ask
line of
him.
reason that you're.
Let's ask him a question. In 1 Corinthians 15 and 22, it says, "In Adam all men die." Is that all men, like Israelites and non-Israelites? We're gonna ask that question. I think we've answered 10 of your questions already. In 1 Corinthians 15 and 22, it says, "In Adam all die." Is that non-Israelites and Israelites that die? So he just did.
He
This is
said you
why I
can
say
answer 11. That's kind of disingenuous, brother. Because if you were sincerely trying to get an understanding, I think you would at least engage with some of our questions as
you
well.
should know he's not trying to get an understanding.
Well, for the off chance, I don't know. He's just talking on a comment board, so I can't
No,
really.
he's on here asking questions because
I don't know if
we
I can't
disagree.
confirm it or not if he's scoffing. For the chance
He's
that he's not,
scoffing.
listen. I know this. We know this brother personally. I think he's a good brother. So even if he is scoffing, I still want to answer his questions. Um, so
His
you
mind
said
is fragged. His mind is fragged.
the brother's asking, doesn't it say in Deuteronomy 30, once the Israelites keep the law and our children, that then we get delivered? Yes, and Romans 11 and 25 is not disagreeing with that. Romans 11 and 7 says the election have obtained it and the rest were blinded. Romans 11 speaks about if the casting away of them be, I'm roughly paraphrasing, the salvation of the world, how much more shall the reconciling of them be, but from life from the dead? What does that reconciliation look like? Deuteronomy chapter 30, the Israelites coming back to God. So what we can do is make the Bible cohesive. We can say, okay, well, this Paul, he clearly knows what he's talking about. I would hope that we would be able to say Paul knows more than us. Unless you're going to say Paul, you know way more than Paul, then I think that's a big issue. But
This man has been mentally molested by
okay,
some older men from Harlem that he doesn't even know, to where he can't even just read the Bible by itself and
well,
agree with it.
Well, listen, brother. If we're gonna be totally transparent, we were too, and we
Yeah,
helped. Well, I'm not. Hold on.
you're
Super,
right. You're right.
super pause. I was about to say something crazy. I've never mentally molested anybody, but I don't even like the way I don't even like that verbiage. I was taught something that wasn't true, and I believed it was true, and taught other people things that I sincerely at the time believed were true, and found out later that they weren't. I don't like mental molestation shit. It's crazy. It's OD. But I get having a bunch of questions, King. You can ask as many as you want, but just make sure that you're, at least taking a mental note of some of the questions that we're asking you.
Well, no, not even that. We don't even have to ask him questions. But the answers that we're giving, is he just like, are you gonna refute the answers, or you just kind of like on to the next question, on to the next question, on to the next question? Either way, anybody's welcome on the panel, welcome on stage. As you see the title of the room, is God, is your race more important than God? Because that's a small portion of the Israelites on the planet. Uh-oh, they might get mad I said planet. The Israelites on the Eretz, on the earth, a small portion of Israelites believe their race is more important than their God, or both are equivocal. And so that's the title of the room. Even though we can talk about anything, that's the main point of contention we have with a small minority of the Israelites on the planet who go by the name of One West.
I got a question. I know I said I was gonna go, but the conversation got interesting, so I kind of stayed.
Go ahead.
But can y'all execute? I mean, execute. Can y'all
Execute
execute Zechariah 14 for me? That probably
the
gonna
whole
give the
chapter.
brother. No, 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 not the whole chapter. I think starting from verse. Let me get
The
to it.
family of Egypt, or like verse 16, or what?
I think verse 16.
Okay, the family of Egypt go not up to keep the feast of tabernacles. There shall no rain get upon them. Yes, in the kingdom, the Gentiles are going to have to keep the commandments. In particular, right here, they're going to have to keep one of the feast days, the feast of tabernacles. That's what it says.
Okay. So then I guess you would agree that since the other nations get to come to keep the Feast of Tabernacle, even going with the next couple of verses, with Egypt, even in verse 18.
Hmm.
No, verse 18 talks about the plague with Egypt. But would you agree that the Feast of Tabernacles here would be the Feast of Tabernacles in the kingdom?
What do you mean the feast of tabernacles here? It's the same one that was given to us in Leviticus 23.
So what I mean in the
Except
kingdom,
for
I'm talking about salvation when we'll be dining with
Is
the
is
Most High.
that in the kingdom? Is that what you're asking me? Zechariah 14.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes, it is emphatically.
Okay. So then that means, well, obviously I'm agreeing with you. So that means when it says all the nations which came against Jerusalem shall even go up year to year to worship the King. All the
Yeah,
nations,
all nations on the world will worship God.
uh, all praises.
All praise
Thank
to
you,
the Most
brother.
High.
Yo, Hassan, real quick, I'm about to jump. I'm gonna jump off stage too, but I've been wanting to say this to you for a little bit. For the last 6 years or so, I've been like paying attention to you guys, your teaching, Deacon, priest as well. I've always kind of been a fan of the way you taught Taz as well, even though I didn't always agree with doctrine. I'm a part of Kingdom Harbinger Ministries, which is Divine Prospects Ministry. So
Shout out to
I
Kingdom
would
Harvester
always
Ministry.
catch you. I would always see you here and there, like popping in, asking
Yeah.
questions and stuff. And so I'm back in my mind. I'm like, all right, you brothers always come off.
Eventually he's gonna
No,
get
yeah,
it.
yeah, not a big, well, yeah, but kind of like that. Like I'm like, because you
Yeah.
you always came off as okay, you cared about scholarship, and because scholarship was important, it was only going to lead you down to one conclusion eventually. Like right, like in my
Right.
mind. So I was talking to my brother Nabil the servant like a year ago, and I kept being like, man, I keep seeing Hassad do this. And I'm like, bro, I think one day they might come to the conclusion about Gentile salvation. And so I'm not saying I like predicted it, but then when y'all brought out the presentation like 2 months ago, or whatever. I lost my mind and I called him and everything. We were chatting about it. But anyway, I just wanted to say respect. I came up to see Priest in person and just dap him up, give him a hug, just say salute to you guys. Keep doing what you're doing. You got support from a lot of places. So
All praise
appreciate
to the
y'all. I'm
Most
a
High,
hop
King.
I'm a hop, man.
All right, brother. We appreciate you, King.
All
Shalom.
right. Shalom.
all praises.
Okay,
Let
Brew
me
said.
answer.
Let's
Let me answer a couple things in the chat real quick. To this is funny. It's Karar said.
Well, listen,
He-
yeah, I
no,
ain't gonna
wait,
lie.
hold on,
You
hold
can
on.
you
This
can
is
you can be a little more kind with the brother. I know he's
no, but
probably.
listen,
Yeah.
listen, listen. I want to have a good laugh. He said, "Dick, you put a suit on and take that hat off and got real disrespect."
He did. No, you're right, Karaz. That nigga got that
That's a
suit and
lie.
tie.
First of
That
all,
nigga went to
that's a
J.C.
lie.
Penney, and y'all want to know
Hey,
something real
that's a
quick?
lie.
He was not.
Respectfully,
He's wearing shorts on that. So just when the screen shows him wearing suit and ties, he's not wearing slacks and Stacey
no,
Adams
no,
underneath
for
that.
sure, for
That
sure. As the
nigga's wearing
Most High,
sweatpants.
hey, the Most High knows it, bro. But listen, you know I was like this before I put on a button up, bro. And first of all, I don't have a suit. But I put the button up on, but I was still on this type of time before my lavender button up, brother, my cranberry button up. But the point is this. Um, it's all love, bro. Conversations get a little bit, heated sometimes. Not even heated, but niggas talk shit. But I ain't supposed to be using these type of languages on my Genesis Clubhouse. So I want to answer some of the questions in the chat. Hassad, is God still racist?
Yeah, by definition, he is.
Okay, and then somebody else asks, is Zechariah 13:8 all mankind?
No, that's
What?
2/3. That's the 2/3. No, that's Israelites. It's talking about Israelites.
It's talking about Israelites.
Think about it, and to be a racist doesn't even necessitate any hatred. It can, if you look at the definition of racist, it gives antagonism is one of the many definitions to be antagonistic towards another group of people based on their race, but that's not the only one. For example, if in the United States of America's legislation it said a black person can never become president of the United States, only a white man forever, would that be a racist law? Yes, it would be. Okay, well, in the Bible, it says that the king of Israel must always be a male Israelite forever, and nobody ever, ever, ever can ever sit on that throne. So, by definition, that's racist. Now, is that necessarily antagonistic and hateful towards other groups of people? No, but by definition, it's racist. Um, Bruce said, "Why y'all ain't read Joshua 9 for the people to explain that on Second Samuel, deceivers?" Well, brother, here's really simple what you can do. You can join the panel and we can discuss it and see if we're deceivers. Like for the
Yeah,
people say you
nobody
guys are
said,
false prophets, you're a liar, you're this, that, and the third. Why don't we just talk about it and you prove what you believe? Because I can guarantee you this. You don't know what you believe. I know what you believe more than you know what you believe. So come disprove what we believe. Nigga, how about that? Yeah, you said something, priest?
bro, we have the power to manipulate his mind to make it think whatever we want it to think.
What a horrible soundbite. I can't even believe you would say that. What an awful thing to say.
That was horrible. Brother, nah. He's saying that we didn't qualify that they were there on the account of us
Yeah,
making a
they
vow with
false they
them.
deceived us into making an oath. Here's what happened in Joshua 9. In Joshua 9, this group of Canaanites heard that Joshua was going around killing everybody, unaliving. Sorry, YouTube, unaliving everybody. So they pretended to come from a far country. They put dirt and they put dirt and ashes on their heads. Deacon. They showed up on Joshua's doorstep with dirt and ashes on their head. And they lied to the people of Israel and said, "Yeah, we come from a far country. We'll be your servants." And they entered into an oath with us, and we weren't allowed to touch them. It's not the point, though. Us not bringing it up is not us deceiving anybody or omitting any information. It's not relevant.
Somebody says, who does Michael Brown believe the Northern Kingdom is? I have a PDF. Let me just read this. Let me show you guys what he said about the Northern Kingdom is in one of his books. This is wow. Okay, here it is. Dang, I could have swore I had.
Yeah, battle axe, and they have moldy bread. So you guys can read Joshua 9. We're not going to omit anything. We would encourage everybody to anything that we say, don't just take it for face value. Go look into what we're saying. But I would like to, if there's anybody that would be willing to have a conversation on if race is as important as God, that does believe that either race is more important or just as important, I would like to have a conversation with you. I don't mean like I want to just berate you or degrade you or be whatever. I just want to talk. I want you to show me in the Bible. I won't even say anything. I want you to show me in the Bible where that conclusion is justified.
Oh, Hassad, a dude came by camp today who follows Truth Unedited.
Mhm.
That was an interesting conversation.
Mm.
Anyway, I can't find it. I thought I had the book, but Dr. Michael Brown believes the Northern Kingdom is scattered and they have lost their identity. He doesn't know where they are. I'm good. Mm-mm.
Yeah, we're coming on here too late.
Quatazar, what's up, brother?
Peace, brother. Do you believe that? Do you
Karan,
believe?
you know, hey, I appreciate you, brother. Let me know if you need anything too, because I'm about to title this. What are you, refiners or lantern? Because I'm
Oh
putting the
Lord.
name in the title. Let me know if you need anything monetarily. Shalom.
Quatazop, do you believe race is as important or even more important than God?
I mean, of course, the Most High God is the most important thing in existence. Period. So I'm not
Beautiful.
in disagreement at all.
Okay.
I was the one who asked, what, why did you ask this though?
Well, because I see a lot of people in the community, not just Israelites, but people in general. Not people in general, but how do I word it? I guess you could call it extremists. I don't like that word though, because I don't want to paint brothers in a bad light. But there's unfortunately too many people, even within the Hebrew Israelite perspective, that are putting their race on the same level as their God, and I think it's heretical.
Okay. Well, I mean, and that is what that is. I mean, but I wanted to ask, um, us as a nation, us as Israelites as a nation, from our inception and to once we got the laws and commandments in the wilderness, and once we even got into the land of Israel, as we as a nation and as a family, as one family, have we ever had anything to ourselves? And that may be a vague question. If it is, maybe I can try to further
Define
my way along.
ourself.
He's
No,
saying,
like
is
as
there
in
anything that we have that a heathen can't have?
something like that. I mean, like can like if it's like feast days or like anything or like where it's just like only us and you know what I'm saying, like where only it's just like a one family affair type thing, you know what I'm saying, like I'm
Um,
just asking sincerely, brother. I'm
the
just
kingship is only for us. The Levitical
Levitical
priesthood is
priesthood,
only for us. The being a judge, the judges are for us. I mean, the land belongs to us. Other people can
yeah,
live in it, but it belongs to us.
the governing
Um,
body.
right.
What else? I'm sure there's some things we're missing as well, but that's a few.
okay because I brought up the Passover and the strangers that come from afar, them being of course being able to keep the Passover. Does So you're saying that heathens can keep the Passover now? I'm asking sincerely once again.
100%. They can and they did.
Okay. So when it says that no stranger shall eat thereof, what does that mean?
So the word that's used there is ben the car. There shall no ben the car eat thereof. If you keep reading, it then says, but, so it's clarifying. No ben the car can eat of it. Verse 44, let me pull it up. But every man's servant that is bought for money, when you have circumcised him, then shall he eat thereof. Two very important things to understand. One, in Exodus 12, starting at the top all the way to the bottom, the context is God speaking to Moses and Aaron to deliver this message towards the children of Israel. So this is specifically spoken to the Israelites. And it says, no, again, verse 43, no Ben Nakar, son of the heathen, can eat thereof. Now, there are times in the scriptures where Ben Nakar is just a general statement for Gentiles. Here, it's more specific and it's going to elaborate. That's why verse 44 says, but every man's servant, ibad, slave, that is bought for money when you have circumcised him. If this is an Israelite, he's supposed to already have been circumcised. That's why it's important to understand who the audience is. When you, Israelites, have circumcised him, then shall he eat thereof. What is this echoing? This is echoing Genesis chapter 17. In Genesis 17, when God makes a covenant, the covenant of circumcision with Abraham, look what it says. Genesis 17 and verse, let's go to verse, I think it's like 11. Yep. It says, and you shall circumcise the flesh of your foreskin, and it shall be a token of the covenant between me and you. And he that is 8 days old shall be circumcised among you, every man child in your generations. He that is born in the house or bought with money of any stranger which is not of your seed. That's exactly what it's echoing in Exodus chapter 12. So it's saying your slave that you circumcise, he can eat. So that's one Gentile that is allowed to eat. Then it goes on to say in verse 45, a foreigner and a hired servant shall not eat thereof. The Hebrew there is a tosab, I believe is for foreigner. Tosab, a foreigner. That's it says a foreigner and a hired servant shall not eat thereof. A foreigner would be like a sojourner, someone who's just passing through the lands. They don't believe in God. They're not allowed to eat of it. Like, for example, when you go, if someone was to go to Dubai, a woman, for example, was to go to Dubai, she has to dress modestly. Does she have to dress modestly because she is a devout Muslima, or she is it because she's in the land of the Muslims? It's because she's in the land of the Muslims. Yet there are things that she's allowed to do, such as consume alcohol, that Muslims, the people who are in covenant, I guess, with Allah, the people of that land, are not allowed to do. Likewise, Passover is a specific event for those who believe in the Most High. Someone who's just passing through the land, sightseeing, or is just stopped at the airport in Israel, they're not allowed, and they don't believe in God, they're not allowed to eat of it. A tasab. But notice it uses different words to describe these people because it's letting you know that there's Gentiles that can and Gentiles that cannot. That's why it's going into this length to expound. It says, a foreigner and a hired servant secure shall I eat thereof. What would an example of a foreigner be? Or sorry, a hired servant, a secure. In First Kings 9, when we build the temple, when Solomon builds a temple, he contacts Hiram, the king of Tyre, to get a bunch of people from Tyre to help us build the temple, smiths and stonemasons, etc. They lived in the land of Israel for the time period in which they built the temple. Did they believe in our God? No, they didn't believe in our God. So they don't get to eat Passover just because they live in the land. That's what Exodus 12 was telling you. And then it goes and says, verse 46, in one house shall it be eaten, thou shalt not carry forth aught of the flesh abroad out of the house, neither shall you break a bone thereof. All the congregation, this is a very important part, all the congregation of Israel shall keep it. Every Israelite must, remember this, must keep Passover. Doesn't say can, doesn't say should. It says all the congregation of Israel shall keep it Passover. Verse 48. And so again, it says all the Israelites in verse 47 have to keep this. And so this is not an Israelite because all the congregation of Israel would include every Israelite. Then it says, and when a stranger, ger or ger, shall sojourn with you, the Israelites. So it's juxtaposing the congregation, people of Israel, from the stranger that sojourns with Israel and will keep Passover to the Lord. Other versions say, and want to, so for example, the NLT says, if there are foreigners living among you who want to celebrate the Lord's Passover, or like the ESV says, desires to. Wait a minute. It doesn't say that the Israelites have, if they want to keep Passover, here's what they must do. Verse 47 gave a clear law. They must keep Passover. It's a very clear law. You don't have an option. But here we see in verse 48 that there are these sojourners who live amongst us. They have an option whether or not they keep Passover. And when a stranger shall sojourn with you and will keep Passover to the Lord, let all his males be circumcised. Again, we were already supposed to have been circumcised. This is further attestation that these are not Israelites. And then let him come near and keep it, and he shall be as one that is born in the lands, for no uncircumcised person shall eat thereof. Now he's treated like he's not like he literally is a physical descendant of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, like he's an Israelite, but he's allowed to keep the Passover just like us. That's what it means. You shall be treated as one that is born in the land. And then it expounds. It says, "One law shall be to him that is homeborn, and unto the stranger." What law? The law concerning eating Passover, and you having to be circumcised. So yes, and I can show you examples in the Tanakh where Gentiles did keep Passover explicitly.
Okay. Oh man. Okay. It's a lot. I'm just trying
No,
to process
I
everything.
understand. So now, and I don't want to, I don't want to overload, but I'll just show you this kind of last little verse, and then you can just ponder on this. And if you have any questions, of course, you can hit me up. Look at this right here, Exodus chapter 6, on the start of verse 21. And the children of Israel, which were come again out of captivity, and so the children of Israel, the Israelites, and all such as had separated themselves unto them, unto who? The children of Israel. So it's again juxtaposition between the children of Israel and all such as had separated themselves unto them from the filthiness of the heathen of the land, to seek the Lord God of Israel, did eat and kept the feast of unleavened bread. They kept Passover and the feast of unleavened bread.
Oh, okay. All right then. Well, that's pretty much all I. The reason why I asked that is because it's just it kind of feels like we never had anything. I mean, besides of course what was promised. I'm talking about like us like I think I talked to you and you and Priest about this months ago when y'all first actually did the PowerPoint on on quote unquote Gentile salvation or and I feel like the term salvation is really a lot like the term Gentile, strangers, so forth and so on. It's pretty much a broad term in a way, because you salvation can apply to many different things. If somebody is sick or whatnot, and the Most High God heals them, that could be a form of salvation and whatnot. Not necessarily just the nation of Israel being delivered out of the hand of our enemies. Of course, that's a part of it. That's a part of the definition of salvation, but I would say it's very much a broad term. The reason why, but I was just going to say the reason why I asked is because I the scriptures talks about us preferring one another and loving each other more so than anybody else. You know what I'm saying? And of course, not I'm talking about any other race or whatnot. And us preferring each other, and you know that's that that's
I don't
that's
deny that
that's
you
that's
should.
important to me.
Yeah, I don't deny the importance of that. I think every race should prefer their own race over others. You preferring your own race over others does not mean that you're just this monster towards everybody else, though.
Sure, sure, I understand that. I definitely understand that. And as far as how I feel about heathens in general, I don't know if that's gonna change, but then maybe, and if that's against the law, then then for sure I'll definitely change that.
Well, let me ask you this, King. And it's a bit of a wild question, so forgive me, but I think it kind of hits the point. Who would you rather have your neighbor, a believing Gentile or a black child molester?
This was very much wild. Okay, of course, I wish you didn't ask this question. Good God. I mean, of course, I believe in Gentile
Right.
because they're not.
But now watch this. Who would you rather have live next to you, a believing Israelite or a believing Gentile? I believe in
Yeah,
Israelites, who I would
you
rather
believe
have
in
live next
Israelite.
to me. Why? Because he's my people. That's who, we have the same culture, customs. They look like me. So there's nothing wrong with still valuing race. There's nothing wrong with you still preferring your people. But when you put your people over God, now it becomes a problem. That's all I'm saying, and that's all the Bible's saying.
Okay, sure, sure. That's yeah. That I guess that's pretty much what I was asking as far as just us as a nation just loving each other and preferring each other over everybody else. That's but of course, loving and reverencing the Most High God above all things. Our Creator above all things. You know what I'm saying? So, but that's all I had. That's the only question I had. Yeah, yeah.
All praise to the
That's
Most
it.
High. All right, my brother. Peace, King. B Max, what's up, bro?
So man, yeah. So quick question: how do you define race?
The definition of race. So the English word race comes from the Latin word raza, which means people descending from a common ancestor.
Okay. So, but do you understand? Let me kind of give you my understanding. Because like my understanding of a race is that race there's no biological basis for race. Race as a concept is something that white people created so they can kind of justify privilege for themselves. Because before that, race really wasn't a thing. But that's just kind of my understanding of race. That's why I'm trying to explain it to you. But I was
Okay.
just curious on yeah.
Well, the modern concept of race. I guess I hear what you're saying. So what we're really going to, even with the definition of, or sorry, the etymology of race, I mentioned the word raza. What we're standing on is the biblical definition of race, which would really be nationhood. How is one determined? Nationhood, biblically, and race are interchangeable, are the same thing. So if somebody is of the nation, like you read in the Bible, the nation of Israel, the nation of Moab, the nation of Edom, that's based on their patrilineal descendant of Esau, of Moab, of Jacob, etc. That is what race is as defined in the Bible. That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
Now, for example, Bob Marley would be the same race as me. He would. He would be so-called black. I mean, I guess if he chose to, he could identify as, mixed race, or he could even, I guess, have a valid claim in saying I'm white. But nonetheless, the point, just to kind of give you some extend the olive branch, because there's so much admixture with different groups of people. Anybody could say, I guess, depending on what admixture they have, that they could lay claim to multiple races. So it's a bit confusing and it's kind of gray and not real concrete. But what I'm saying is patrilineage. That makes things a lot less ambiguous. So while Bob Marley wouldn't be the same race as me biblically, and while he would, I guess, within the modern construct of race, someone who is as pale as, no disrespect to him, Drake's son. Drake's son is very pale. I think he even has blue eyes. Yet he would still biblically be from the same race as me, because your race is not defined necessarily, based on your phenotype. It's based on your patrilineage.
No, it's not.
Well, it is
Um,
in the Bible, though. So you can say no, it's not,
I
but it is.
mean, the Bible is also pro-slavery. You cool with that?
Again, we're having a conversation on. You're asking me about race. Now you're moving the goalpost to slavery. So
I'm just
what
talking in general.
conversation?
I mean, I just don't understand
What,
why any black man would want to believe in the Bible when it was used to justify the enslavement of your race, of your so-called race, which
right.
is a concept that white people created to
Well,
justify it.
this is just a really bad faith argument, because you believe in science, no?
Uh, I think we all believe in science, sir.
Okay, perfect. So was science justified to enslave black people? Did they not say that we have a part of our cranium that makes us more prone to obedience and to submission?
So first of all, you're already wrong.
No, no.
Science is
Did,
not a
did,
group.
did people say that though?
Listen,
Real
listen.
quick
Hang
though,
on.
I got
I
you,
let
B-man.
let me
Did
respond.
people? I
You gotta let me respond, bro.
bro,
B
You don't
Max,
look,
even
B
understand what
Max,
science
B
is.
Max,
just
B Max. Are you a transgender?
Why does that matter? You're
oh
trying to pivot. You're trying to
man,
pivot.
hell no, nigga.
We don't
What?
want to talk. We don't want
Oh,
to talk.
Shit, man, you win, B Max. You won by having me even entertain that ridiculousness. Shit, no. Shit, I think everybody playing. Shit, no, no.
I knew he sounded familiar too, but I can't tell you to repent. I don't know. I don't know how you can repent. You
Hold on,
have
you're
to
gonna no
do.
disrespect. I want to, I don't want to make fun of you, B Max. I don't know what's happened to you in your childhood. And I don't want to assume that negative things happened to you in your childhood that have led you in the life that you live now. But you're calling us cowards. I don't think there's anything more cowardly than a man or a woman that refuses to accept what they are. You're running from who you are biologically. You want to speak about science and believing it. You are a biological woman. There's no amount of testosterone or steak you can eat that will make you any less of that. You are a woman. You should not run from that. You should stop being a coward. You should pray to God that He delivers you from the scissoring and the carpet munching. And I'll stop there for YouTube purposes, and we can just go from there. No, you cannot come back on the stage. You need to go learn how to sew and knit. That's what you need to do. Nigga, you need to go call your grandmama and teach her and have her teach you how to bake and sew and knit. Nigga, call me ma. Call me ma and have her teach you how to sew and knit, sis. Coward, I'm a transformer woman. I don't even know. That stuff is so confusing. I don't even know what that means. Does that mean from you started from the bottom, now you're queer? I don't know what that means. Does that mean you were a man and now you're a woman, or you're a woman and now you're a man? I don't even know.
Just absolute confusion, and we're done with that. Matter of fact, you know what? Get them on out of here. It. Get it on out of here. How do we get it? How do we get it out?
Mama told me to get it. But I think I'm glad. You know what? This room restored. Besides that, this room did restore some faith in me. This is gonna help me sleep at night. Now, maybe some of y'all are just liars, but we have 100% of the people in the room that are affirming that God is more important than their race. So, all praises to the Most High. Before we close the room, is there anybody that would say that race is just as, or excuse me, even more important than God, or that someone would say that they're interchangeable? That you can't have a discussion about race. You can't even, have a relationship with God if you don't have, your race. Macario, what's going on? If I said that incorrectly, I apologize.
No, that's what it is.
All right.
Yeah. So I've just been listening to you guys for a while now, for a few months, and you guys have been changing a lot, and I've been following, I guess you could say, like the BHI or whatever you want to call it. I don't want to be rude, but for maybe 4 years now. So I'm kind of with you on the whole. What is the race more important to? Because I see a lot of that on like street teaching videos. Where you open up with the hey, what's your nationality and what's this and a lot of that goes on. So
Mm.
I understand why you're asking the question. But yeah, I would say that God first, right? Um, and then the other thing too is like with your Gentile teaching. Yeah, I would say, man, you guys really opened my eyes on that too. Because not everything can be a Northern Kingdom brother, so to say, a lost Israelite. But with that, man, I'll be honest, you guys got me confused on a lot of other things that I have learned. Um, like the multiple wives thing. Um, what is your view on that? I mean, if that's not the place or time, I understand that too.
Yeah, I mean it's a different subject, but that's fine. We can cover it. The Bible is very clear. There's laws that the Most High gives that govern marriage, and they never prohibit a man having more than one wife. There are several occasions where God Himself, for example, in 1 Samuel, I think 15 or 18, God tells King David, "I gave you multiple." He gave King David multiple wives. He gave Jacob multiple wives. He gave Abraham multiple wives. And so, unless we're going to call God immoral or say that He does immoral things, there is no way that we could say that it is immoral for a man to have multiple wives.
Okay. Okay. So that's just based on, I guess, like the patriarch David and everyone else, right?
No, the
That's kind
law.
of what the
The law,
okay.
which is, yeah, the law. Well, like for example, not I know you want to ask some questions, but would you say that the law of God is a reflection of His morality?
Yeah, yeah, like the moral law, right?
Well, the law, unless we're going to say, now, I'm glad you said that, because I've often heard people use the term, well, they're, the moral law. If something's not moral, what is it?
Immoral.
Right. So unless we're going to say that God gave immoral laws, which would make Him immoral, then that would mean that the entirety of the law of God has to be based off of God's morals, which are, of course, moral. Right.
Yeah.
Right. And if that's the case, which we both agree it is, then when God is giving laws about men having multiple wives, that's not immoral, but rather it is moral. So
Okay.
it is moral in the eyes of God for a man to have multiple wives. It is immoral for a man to commit adultery. It is immoral for a man to, commit incest. It is immoral for a man to forcefully lay with. Those are things that are immoral. Nowhere in the entire Bible do we see this prohibition on multiple wives. We just don't see it. Now we'd have to ask ourselves, well, why isn't it? Well, because it's not prohibited.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I understand that. I never asked is what it was.
Hmm.
Um so when do you guys normally do like the Q&A things? Is it like at what point of time do you guys do that?
Um, we usually we do classes on Fridays, but we've kind of started to we're building up a new channel and kind of not rebranding, but building up another audience, I guess you could say, for lack of a better word. So we're gonna start opening up the Q&As a little bit more frequently in the very near future.
Okay. And when you say a new audience, what do you mean by that?
Well, the fact that I even have to ask a question such as, "Is your race more important than God?" illustrates that there's a big problem. There's a fundamental issue with a lot of people within the community that literally put up race above God. I want to read you a comment. I posted this question on my Facebook. I want to read you what somebody just said to me 5 minutes ago. And they said, "Race is more important as it is the dividing factor. If you're an Israelite, you're forever obligated and contracted to serve the Most High only, or you will be cursed forever. However, if you are any other race, there is no such obligation to serve one deity." So now the issue with that is there's people that literally believe that race is more important than God. I want to, of course, help people who are in that mindset and teach them and explain to them that is wrong. But also, too, I don't want to be associated with that level of ignorance. So when I say a new audience, I want people that are understanding that that is unacceptable behavior to also partake. I don't want to just be solely associated with people who say that race is more important than God, is what I'm saying in so many words.
No, I definitely get that, man. Like a lot of us come from like Christian backgrounds, myself too, right? Or Christianity backgrounds. So then I still have those things where like I'm appalled when I see some things and how people speak to other people, even if you are an Israelite, right? There just comes a certain level of respect you should have for everyone. Um, and you don't see that with every camp, man. I've seen some crazy stuff. Um, so what is like congregation, I guess, look like with Genesis? Like what do you guys, is it just like I guess like traditional congregation, you just guys coming together on Sabbaths, or how does that look like?
It varies. We still do a lot of the things that you'll see other Israelites do, such as feast days, Sabbath service, street teachings, things of that nature. There's not much of a deviation as it relates to that. There's definitely some more things that we want to do, but
I think what he's asking is there a white amongst us?
Well, I don't want to be disingenuous. Yeah, I guess I don't want to have a leading question, but is that, I guess, is that the vision? You know what I mean? Is that the vision, like, to have,
Oh, white.
non-Israelites? Right. Okay. I'll just
Well,
call
the,
it,
the
yeah,
vision
a
is
white guy.
well, the vision isn't like I'm not out there saying, man, I really hope a white person comes and listens to me today. Christ said, the kingdom of heaven is like unto a man that puts a net in the ocean and gathers many kinds of fish. So contextually there, when he gives another parable, he's talking about people. So if my goal is just to kind of directly answer your question is not to gather any specific race. It's primarily to gather my people, absolutely. But I'm certainly not going out there with the hope of, well, I mean, I really hope Tanner listens to the Bible today. I hope whoever's supposed to listen to the Bible listens to the Bible. I hope whoever Christ's sheep are listen, whoever that might be.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Okay. But yeah, I guess that's where I was going with that
Yeah,
too. And then the
with a
last,
special focus though on my race,
I
100%,
got you.
because
As of
I
I
right
got you.
believe
now,
that.
we don't have a white.
Yeah,
You don't
we
have a
can.
white?
We do not have a white as of yet, but because the Israelites are God's chosen people, there's a special focus on them, and also too because that is my race, and three because we need it the most. I have a special interest that when I do go out, I am looking for Israelites to come and listen to the Bible. Am I specifically out there hoping? I mean, I really hope a Gentile listens. I hope my people listen. I hope people listen. But I have a special again interest towards my people. Absolutely.
Okay. Okay. And then I guess the last question is like, how does anyone join Genesis?
Well, you have to get in contact with brothers, whoever the officer or your jurisdiction is. You would hit them up. They would vet you, and then we will go from there.
Okay. Okay. Sounds good, man. That's really all I had then. You said Fridays you got, or I guess you haven't said yet. Okay, for like Q&As and stuff like that. But you guys normally what do like the clubhouse thing Fridays or what?
It just varies.
Okay. Okay. All right, man. Well, that's really all I had.
It's not Friday, by the way.
Okay. It's not Friday.
No, it's
You
Saturday.
don't know
Yeah.
what day it is, brother?
Oh
Yeah.
no. Well, Hassan had said Friday, right?
No, I'm saying we typically for the last like few weeks we haven't done it, but usually we do a live stream every Friday. That's what I'm talking about. But
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, go
if
to
you got social
TGC.
media,
Yeah,
just
TGC Ministries on YouTube. We're predominantly over there.
Okay. And y'all do the
TGC
lives on
Ministry.
that. Okay.
Oh, praises.
all praise to the Most High. So I appreciate you, King. I'm gonna get to the
Oh
next
yeah.
one.
Hey, I've been watching you for a while too, man. I've been watching you also.
All praise to the
You
Most High.
I've always thought you to be, just fantastic teacher, man. You don't just, if I have a question on a certain scripture, you don't just try to negate it with another scripture. You actually break it down, man. So, I really do appreciate that, man. I hope you don't change that about yourself. I love that you guys actually take questions, man. You know how many people just don't take questions?
Yeah,
It's
they
just
want an echo
crazy.
chamber. That's
Right.
dangerous. That's how you create a
Right.
cult. Yeah. So I appreciate you, King. All
Oh
praise to the
yeah.
Most High. All right. Dame, what's going on, brother? You said that we sound like MLK.
Yeah, yeah. Just, I mean, what you just said, you feel me? Like I'm just not used to Israelites, like really talking about white people like that. It just reminded me of Martin Luther King when he was trying to integrate black people and white people. So yeah, I'm trolling you a little bit, bro.
Okay. What is your understanding of Revelation 7 and 9 when it says, after John
I ain't, I
counted?
ain't, I ain't no, I ain't no Bible scholar, bro. Not to disrespect
Oh,
you, feel
okay.
me?
Do you believe in the Bible at all or no?
Yeah, 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 for sure.
Okay. So when we see in Revelation 7 in the kingdom, I know you said you're not a Bible scholar and you're just trolling a little bit. What would be your understanding then when it says John saw in a multitude that was filled with so many people he couldn't even count of all races on the planet Earth?
I mean, it sound pretty clear what he talking about. You feel me? Like it sound pretty straight up though.
Right.
The
So
nigga sound like Martin Luther King.
right. But no, but see, it's we're not pushing. I can't wait for little white boys to marry little white or black girls. It's not something that we're pushing like Martin Luther King was doing. So there's
Okay.
there's still a preferential treatment that every race should have for their own. So this isn't a ebony and ivory. That's not what we're saying.
Right. Yeah, it just kind of it's just weird to hear like Israelites talk like that because I be hearing a lot of different Israelites and it's like, they say that the chosen people and I heard like pretty much, white people gonna be serving. I'm not an Israelite or nothing. I just don't
Mhm.
like white people. Like far as when it come to mixing with black people and it seemed like a lot of white people kind of like some type of way, always mixing with black people some type of way, like you know what I mean. Then make it seem like this kumbaya thing, but like black people been oppressed for so long. It's like I just feel like it's time to separate from white people. So to try to make some type of excuse where black people and white people need to be getting along and agreeing, like I don't agree with that though.
I hear you because of the tumultuous relationship between our people and white
Right,
people. There's
right.
a there's a credence to us wanting to be separate from them, and that doesn't come from necessarily a place of, like you said, it's not even necessarily like a hatred. That's just the hey, the history shows what happens when we interact. That you guys
They
kill us,
never
and
apologized though. That's my biggest thing. Like they never apologized like
right, right.
publicly.
To
It's a
that
secret.
I mostly agree. And so if your position is, look, I just don't trust them, and for the safety of myself and my family, I would choose to separate from them. Absolutely. But the ultimate goal, of course, I would hope that I could speak for both of us, is that everybody could get along. Now, is that something that is going to take place now? No, it's something that we have to have a Messiah to literally reign on the planet Earth in order for that goal to be accomplished. But I would prefer to live in a society where, of course, I prefer my people, and I would say that my people are the best, but still get along with other cultures of people.
Right. I mean, but all due respect though, is you mixed or something though? You don't seem like you all the way black though. So you probably related to
Why?
white people.
Based off how I talk,
Nah, like I'm looking at your PTR and stuff though. You look kind of mixed or something though.
my
Like
mother is white.
oh, I mean, yeah, so that's my point though. Like no disrespect to you, but I'm just saying, as far as our people, there be so much stuff and so much like
So
murder.
basically, what you're saying is I shouldn't be friends with Hassad.
I don't
Huh?
think
Oh
that's what he's
no,
saying, but
no,
that's
no, no,
I
no,
just
no,
don't like.
no.
I hear you, brother. I want to let you speak, but what is the relevance in that?
I mean,
Because
no, I wasn't saying
Malcolm
you
X
shouldn't be
was
friends.
mixed race. Frederick Douglass was mixed race. Martin Luther King Jr. was mixed race. Like a lot of the greatest black leaders were mixed race. So I'm trying to see what is the relevance in that.
I mean, shit, them coon niggas, you name it though. So to make it, they
Malcolm X
not
was.
pure
You saying
black though.
Malcolm X was a coon?
Man, all them niggas was coon. You just named,
Malcolm
bro.
X, brother. You're gonna sit up here and say Malcolm X was a coon?
You want me to say? I mean, yeah, I just said it like 2 times. Like all the
Wow.
people
Do you
you just
think that?
named.
I think, brother, that respectfully, you got to really watch what you're saying. Malcolm X is one of the greatest black men that has
I
ever
didn't say
existed this
great.
side of the Western Hemisphere. And I think that Malcolm X, and I would even include Martin Luther King Jr., have both done more in one day for black people than you have done in your entire life. So you
I
should have
mean,
some respect for them.
I mean that's
Even though
that's
I
a fact.
disagree with a lot of what Martin Luther King Jr. did, for you to
Right.
just sit up here and say, "Yeah, them coon niggas and da 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 da," they've done more for. The reason why we're even allowed to have some of the things that we have now, granted that this is just minor progress, and like Malcolm said, you don't stab somebody 9 inches deep, pour it out 3 inches, and call it progress. I understand that, but there was so
I mean,
much that
but
we
they
would not
stole the
have if
South
it was
though.
not for those men, and for you to disrespect
Right.
them, I think is
I,
ridiculous.
I get. I mean, I'm saying so. That's what I'm saying with my point with you, because you mix, and them people you named is mixed. So them people not even full blooded American people or full blooded Israelites or full blooded like these special race of people. So we talking about
Are you full blooded?
infiltrators. I'm yeah, for sure.
No, you're not. If you
Have
take a
you
DNA
took a
test, you're
D,
not.
have you
No,
took a
you're not
DNA?
100%. One
Hold
second.
on.
I don't.
Have
I
You're
you
don't.
not
took a DNA
100%
test?
sub-Saharan African. I guarantee it.
Yeah. Have you took a DNA test?
No, I never took no DNA test.
You
Right.
should, because
Yeah, and you're gonna find out you're not
you
100%
will
black.
find out that you're a Hamite.
Nah, that's cap though. So I know about like Ellis Island and shit like that. So that type of stuff y'all talking about ain't
That
gonna
has
work
nothing to
on
do with
me.
Ellis Island, brother. We're
Yeah, I'm
talking
just
about
saying,
if
but you. But
we're talking
hold
about
on.
if you were to upload your autosomal DNA to Ancestry or My23andMe, it's gonna probably show if you have two black parents, depending on where they're from. You're gonna
All
be
right.
probably at most 90% black and probably 10% white.
Nah, that's rigged stuff though. So I'm just saying, you got a false narrative of history, and you got a false
Well,
narrative
oh, okay,
of
I got you.
DNA and stuff. I mean, real talk though. So I mean, I'm just saying, you can't make it seem like I don't know. I'm not an African though, bro. So that's why I brought up Ellis Island.
What does that mean that you're an Like, it's okay, brother. You don't. It's all right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just trying to have a little conversation with you. That's all. But yeah, I'm
It's
just
all
saying to
love,
the
brother, but respectfully, you don't really know what you're talking about. You're saying I'm an African. What does that mean you're an African? There's 54 countries in Africa. If you go to
I mean,
Ethiopia right now, they're not going to say I'm an African. They're going to say I'm Habisha. And they're going to
right,
look at
yeah,
you like we're not the same people. So I don't know. What is the relevance of being an African?
right.
African,
Well,
like pure blood. I don't even like this idea of pure blood, black, that doesn't exist.
the
Well,
remnant
it does
is.
exist, I guess, in certain parts of Africa, but in the diaspora,
I'm not talking about
you're going to be
America.
very hard pressed to find someone who's 100% sub-Saharan African.
I mean, yeah, I'm not trying to argue with you about names. I'm just talking about like pure blood, like the remnant. So the people you
But you're
name,
not
man,
pure blood, though. More than likely,
that's
by
you.
your
You.
definition of pure blood, you're not.
I mean, I'm just talking about not mixed with white people like you. That's what
Right,
I'm
but
saying.
you are though. That's
No,
what I'm trying
no,
to say. You are
no,
more than.
no,
There's a 99% chance that you are mixed with white people. You
I
probably have
I
a
don't
great
think so.
grandfather. Like for example, brother, you probably have on your mother's side or father's side one white ancestor. We've been living with white people for 500 years.
No,
This
I
the
know white people were slaves though, so that
that's
stuff you
not
talking
that's
about
not
working
the
on you,
point.
bro. It
That's
is
not
the
the
point
point at
though. You
all.
can't. I mean, I'm not
You
gonna
just
argue
brother,
with
you're
you
just
though.
talking, brother. You're not listening. The
I'm listening to
likelihood
you,
of you
bro.
having zero white people in your family line is so slim. It's not even worth entertaining. That being the case, this idea that you're purporting of this 100% pure-blooded
Pure
blackness,
blood
it
remnant though.
right, it does not exist. It's not a
That's
serious talking
and
point.
yo. I mean, I understand where you coming from because you mix. So you saying like it's pure blood, like basically everybody mixed with white people some type of way. That's cap, bro.
You just don't
That's
know.
cap, bro.
You just don't know what you're talking about, brother. It's all good.
Yeah, hey, what your last name mean though? I just
What do you
can
mean?
I
What
ask
does
you
it
that
mean?
real quick? What Hassad mean?
That's not my last name. That's my Hebrew name. It means merciful,
What else it mean?
loving kindness.
What else it mean?
I was just 21 questions.
No, I'm just saying you keep naming the. I'm just trolling you, but I'm saying though I looked up the word Hassad and I seen what it mean. It was like somebody sneaky stealing somebody inheritance and shit. So it
No,
fitted kind of
Hassad.
perfect with my
You
picture.
looked up the word Hassad in Arabic. Hassad in
Oh,
Arabic means deceiver.
right.
Hassad is not an
Yeah,
Arabic word.
yeah.
Hassad
So
is a Hebrew
that's what
word.
you is, cause you Arabic, bro. So that's what I'm saying. Your deception, that shit ain't gonna work on me trying to convince me I'm mixed with white people. That's all I'm saying, though.
That shit sucked, bro. I ain't gonna lie to you. That shit was ass.
Hey, Dame, what's your real name, Dame?
Shit, Damon.
Damon.
Yep.
What city you from?
I'm from Toledo,
Toledo.
Ohio.
Why they try
Yeah.
to say you was a mark from Jellystone Park?
Oh damn, I don't know. He said, "Ain't that what Yogi and Boo Boo saying, bro?"
All
This nigga funny,
right,
man.
man. I hope you find the truth. We hope you
Okay,
find the
peace.
truth, brother. Shalom.
All right, peace.
Oh man, I apologize for you, Hassad.
You ain't gotta apologize. I mean, listen, it's. I'm glad my name is
The
Hassad.
things that you have to endure being a man. It's so hard being a man of the Lord.
It is, but who? It's this is the it's our reasonable service. Who cares? Now, am I just to kind of unpack what I just said? We're not basing the like if you take a DNA test, do I put all my faith and trust in DNA tests? No, but are they accurate in certain respects? Absolutely, they are. And if anybody's going to deny that, you're just being ridiculous. Can the DNA test determine whether or not you're an Israelite? Certainly not. But a DNA test will tell you who some of your immediate family and even some of your extended family are. It just will. That's why if you take a DNA test, which like I did, it showed I didn't tell them who my dad was. I took a DNA test years before my dad took one. He took one, and guess what? It says we had 50% shared DNA, and it immediately said, "Dad, that's your dad." It's just what it is. It says my mom was who my mom was, my aunties who my auntie was, uncles, etc. So there is merit in it. Why do I bring that up? This idea of this pure-blooded, this blackity black stuff, this does not exist outside of the continent of Africa. When
Of
you look into
FBA.
right. If you look at the overwhelming, this is why I said someone said in the chat, I'm 100% African, even though my mother was from the African diaspora. Notice, most black people in the diaspora, both of their parents are going to be, they're going to at least have one member that is of the diaspora. Me, for example, of course, my father is of the African diaspora. The point being, you would be an outlier. If you are a black person that has been living in this country and has ancestry in this country going back 10 plus generations, the likelihood of you taking a DNA test and not having a single white person or Asian person or any other than black person, and what do we mean black? Because what if your great great grandmother is Eritrean? Are you okay? Well, they're black, but are they the same race as you? No. So what does that even mean? 100% pure blood? You don't even know. But the point is, the anyone you can go look this up, see if I'm lying. If you go look it up, the average so-called black person in this country has about 25% European admixture. Now, is it that high always? No. Like my father is like 88% sub-Saharan African, like 11% European. But the point is, again, just to debunk this idea of 100% pure blood, that's just a ridiculous ideology. There's just no merit for that. So
There's
anyway,
no room for. Not only is there a merit for that, there's no room in the world for that. All praises. Okay, I see.
Real quick, I want to invite Brew on here. I think he had some choice words to say
He's
about
not
us.
in here.
No, he is. He was just right here. I'm gonna invite you to speak, my brother.
Oh, he left quick.
Damn, he got up out of there.
I see.
Is
Unc.
that you, Irv?
Unc had his hand up. Unc, did you have your hand up? Unc D, did you have your hand up? Because we tried to get you on, my boy. Macario said he's confused about polygyny. You trying to get you a couple wives, Macario? I'm telling you right now, it takes a really shiny nickel.
He said it was a mistake.
Okay, cool. He said, nah, I can't afford it. Listen, I'm gonna tell you something. The Filipinos, the Samoans, the Ethiopians, all these other races, they save money by consolidating and living in the same space, putting all their money together. It's a sacrifice. All praises. Anything else?
No, I think that was a good room. We can probably close it on that.
Any questions in the chat? Any diabolical questions in the chat? Let's take a look. All right, y'all. Well, it's been real. Make sure you guys go subscribe to TGC Ministries on YouTube. That's where it's at. Bridget says, why do you need more women? Um, that's a good question. Besides the fact that it's my God-given right to exercise that, there's many benefits to multiple women. You look at nation building, the economic building, transportation, obligations, responsibilities, accountability. All